It has come to my attention that I've been extremely hard on AEW as of late. Really, really hard. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for that. I apologize. That level of disrespect I would never tolerate from anybody. So how dare I? So what I thought to do to try to get back into the AEW fan base's good graces was I would come up with 10 nice things to say about AEW. But I can only think of 8. What's up, y'all? It's your boy, Seth Grimes, and you heard that right. I'm here to say nice things about AEW. Nice things. Because look, as hard as I've been on AEW as of late, as many other people have as well, for good reason, because their product it's I mean, you know, look, the numbers speak for itself. Nice things, right? We're saying nice things. But I like AEW. I want AEW to succeed. I was an AEW fanboy when they first started, all the way up through basically the release of CM Punk. After that, shit started to fall apart for me. I don't know about any of you, but I want them to succeed because the wrestling business needs them to succeed. We need a strong number 2. Even if they're not competing in the ratings, they are competing for the dollars. And that makes the contracts better for everybody. That makes the working environment better for everybody. Everybody steps up their game. It raises the business up overall. And you can't argue that WWE's best days aren't at least in part because they had a competitor-ish underneath them. So then they fell apart, and now they're losing a lot of their following, and people are just taking jabs at them every chance they get on the internet. Poor AEW. They're getting abused. So I'm here to say nice things, and I'm going to say nice things even if it hurts me. Starting with number 8. Number 8's a no-brainer. AEW has the best wrestling. They do. Period. They say it. This is where the best wrestle. It's not just a tagline. And I know a lot of WWE fanboys will get really upset about that. Probably the 2 or 3 TNA fanboys that are listening, they'll get upset too. But look, AEW has the best matches in professional wrestling. Banger after banger after banger. You can count on the product inside the ring to be superior to just about anybody, because that's where they put their emphasis on. And you could say, oh, Ricochet, oh, AJ Styles, oh, Seth Rollins, whoever the fuck is a great wrestler. No, they're not as great as a Will Ospreay, Bryan Danielson masterpiece. It's just not. And I'm not trying to pull a Meltzer on your ass. It's just a fact of the matter. The in-ring product and the guys, the roster that AEW has assembled is a fucking all-stars, death row, fucking murderers row hitter list of killer wrestlers in the ring. They can all go. Problem is, they don't. Nice things. Number 7, getting national TV time. This is almost unheard of in the wrestling business, other than WCW, and then TNA for a little bit had a good TV deal on Spike. Other than that, there has been no real competitor on national television at that level in as many households as WWE has been. AEW was able to achieve that, and that is no small feat, and they need to be commended for it. Now, you could say it's just because Tony Khan was buddy-buddy with the guy that was working at the network at the time, and that is true. And Tony Khan also had the credibility of being, you know, the whatever the fuck he is, the president of the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Fulham football team and all of that. He is a proven sports industry person, right? Like, it's not just some nobody. It's not like fucking Don Callis at the time or whoever the fuck could go up to a TV network executive at TNT and be like, hey, we should be on your channel. Tony Khan had the credit. I mean, it's just some random wrestling. But when the guy that basically runs the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Fulham Football League over in London. You're going to tell me that this guy doesn't come with the credibility to at least take the meeting and take his pitch seriously about putting a sports-esque kind of product on our TV? Let's listen to him. Now, will they keep that national TV? I suspect that they will. I think even though the guy that signed the original deal doesn't work there anymore, I think they're still going to get a TV deal this year, and I think they're going to get an increase at that. Might not be where they want to be, but it'll be an increase, even though their ratings have been dropping and other nice things. They're going to get an increase. Number 6, running Wembley Stadium. Sure, WWE did this before, and yes, WWE could have easily gone back there and done it again. But why didn't they? They didn't. AEW did it first. I don't know if it was just a matter of they didn't want to do the day pay-per-views at the time. Now they do them all the time. You know, they did Backlash in France. And fucking that was in the afternoon, and they've done it with the Saudi shows as well. It's old hat now, but at the time, before AEW did it, just a year ago, that wasn't something that they were necessarily willing to do all the time. I think AEW really showed them that it can be done and raised the stakes on it. And I think that's partially the reason why WWE has been doing so many pay-per-views now in foreign countries. They've always gone to these other countries, but now they're bringing pay-per-view to them. I think AEW kind of set the trend on that when they announced. You got to remember, yes, they ran Wembley just a year ago, but they announced it even further before that. And just the massive balls that it took for an upstart company. They're still an upstart company, folks. WWE's lineage goes back 70 years. AEW's goes back 4. You know, so for them to have the balls to go, yeah, especially when their ratings were down or whatever the fuck, we're gonna go into Wembley. Yeah, the stadium. It took a lot of balls, and you got to give them credit for giving that a try, and you got to give them credit for the way that it's kind of changed the business now. Now we're seeing a lot of foreign pay-per-views. Speaking of pay-per-views, number 5, their pay-per-views never miss. Their pay-per-views are always bangers. They're rarely ever a disappointment. As far as if you spent your money on it, you're going to get a good show. You know, pay-per-views have always been where the best matches happen, and that's where the feuds are blown off and that sort of thing. And even though AEW's TV doesn't have the storylines to really gain that attention span, the pay-per-view matches are all hype. Once you get to those matches, you're like, damn, I want to see this match, and it always delivers. Very rarely, if ever, has anybody ever been disappointed with an AEW pay-per-view. It just doesn't happen. They deliver every single time. And you can't say the same thing about WWE. I was just at SummerSlam. SummerSlam didn't deliver. It wasn't a banger, and that was supposed to be like their second, third biggest show of the year? Disappointment. But never in AEW. Number 4 is about to incite the cringe, but it needs to be said. AEW was the company that brought back CM Punk. This was the undoable. You've heard him say in interviews, Punk, when you coming back to wrestling? I'm never coming back. Never, ever, ever coming back. He said those exact same words. Now, it was all bullshit because even before he was signed to AEW, he's admitted to being in talks with WWE. A lot of that had to do with Nick Khan, by the way, because Nick Khan either directly represented CM Punk during the time that Punk was away from WWE, or at least worked for the same agency that represented Punk. So Punk has admitted that Nick Khan was always kind of trying to get him to come back, and that they had talks. But it was AEW that brought him back, and they brought him back in the biggest way possible. Pretty much, right? Like, how could you go bigger? You could put it in a stadium or something, but goddamn, Chicago, the United Center. I was there for that show, by the way, so that is extra sentimental and partly why it's on the list. But it's no small feat. Punk refused to come back, And he was gone for 7 years. People had given up hope, and his name was still being chanted throughout arenas everywhere. But they were the ones to sign the deal. They were the ones to convince him to put the boots back on, to come back out on TV. And now we have CM Punk in our life. CM Jesus Christ Punk, our Lord and Savior. And we have Tony Khan and AEW to thank for that. Number 3, pandemic innovators. I said that right. Pandemic innovators. What is that? Look what they did during the pandemic. Nobody knew what to do, right? WWE and AEW both continued business, but how do you go forward? It's a live event show. What do? WWE went the route of putting TV screens in the crowd, and that was innovative, I guess. It was an interesting way of doing things. But look at the little things that AEW did. They put the hard camera facing the entrance instead of the crowd. Probably something they should start doing again. Right? Nice things. They put the camera on the entrance, so you weren't really looking at a crowd to begin with. You didn't notice that there wasn't a crowd necessarily. Then they put all the jobbers and the trainees and the lower card guys, all the YouTube wrestlers and stuff, put them out into the crowd to be the fans, to make the noise. They were already going to be there. They were already going to be in the building. Before that, they innovated by filming a shit ton of shows in advance. That's where they all did the shoots at QT Marshall's school, using a lot of QT Marshall's people. That's how a lot of those guys got jobs in AEW. I don't remember all the names. I think Anthony Ogogo was one. Anna Jay, certainly one of them. There were quite a few others that got jobs in AEW because they just so happened to be in the area and were available to be part of that show where they filmed like fucking 37 episodes in a row. But the way that they did things, look, putting TVs in the crowd is innovative too. WWE certainly found their way. But when AEW started doing the crowd shit, WWE was still in an empty PC. They were not doing the TVs first. AEW was the first to innovate and go, you know what? Let's use people that are already here as our crowd. And it worked. It did not, still didn't have the same energy and feel of what we get now, but it was something. It was something that was sorely needed, other than you could hear a pin drop, quiet fucking buildings, And AEW were the first ones to come up with that idea, and they were the first to put it on TV. They were pandemic innovators. Number 2, the way that they treat their talent. AEW treats their talent like human beings. Now, WWE's doing a lot better with that in the current administration, but that's something that wasn't happening under the Vince administration. It was something that AEW brought into the business. They're far kinder to their talent. They get paid great. A lot of them get benefits, not all of them, but the big stars. You've heard of these second contracts these talents get, like CM Punk talked about. I would imagine that these arrangements exist for some of the other top stars. The ability to, and what that does is allows them to earn benefits and retirement and all that other kind of shit. It's a good gig there. They have the freedom to go work other promotions if they want to. They still get that 1099-esque, independent contractor. Go work the indies, go work Japan, pretty much anywhere but WWE or TNA, basically, The way that they're taken care of backstage, the way that they're not. Vince McMahon had a way of bullying people and just abusing them and putting them in situations that were embarrassing just to fucking rib them, which was funny a lot of times, like Big Show in a diaper, for example. Like, he humiliated people just to do it, just because he wanted to. JR, he had a lot of fun with. He would do that shit just for the laugh. Ha ha! That's good shit. Just to amuse himself. Hear a lot of people, Bruce Pritchard always says, That doesn't make any sense to bring Dusty Rhodes into a contract just to bury him in poker. Yes, it does. Vince would wipe his ass with $100 bills. It does make perfect sense to bring. Yes, you want to make money with him, and he did. Had a great feud with Macho Man that led to a WrestleMania match. A couple other good feuds I don't remember off the top of my head with Dusty in the WWE, but he had a good laugh with him while he was doing it. AEW doesn't do that kind of stuff. It doesn't embarrass its talent other than, nice things, right? You know, everybody could have the perception that their talent is being embarrassed, but they don't outwardly make a point of burying a talent just for the fun of it, you know. They have benefits. They're allowed to go do what they're allowed to miss days. You know, oh, I'm not feeling good. Oh, my fucking pinky toe hurts. Oh, my friend's in town for whatever. Sure, take the time off. You don't need to be here. We'll work around it. We'll figure something else out. It's just a very lax, lighter, laid-back schedule, more of a team environment, better taken care of. You know, a lot of them get the bus treatment and all that kind of thing. It sounds like Tony, for the most part, runs a company that would just, in general, be a lot more kinder, more welcoming, more safe and secure environment to work for. Before I get to my number one, if you liked what you watched so far, please leave a like below. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss other videos from me. It helps me out a lot. And leave your thoughts in the comments if you have opinions of your own. I would love to hear from you, good or bad. What's your list? What are your thoughts? Also, if you do want to support me, like what you watched, I do drop regular videos under the Pro Wrestling Podcast. You can subscribe, check out that playlist if you like. Also, I got a book for sale, The Gathering, A Bold Journey into the Belly of the Juggalo Underworld. About a guy who goes to the gathering of the Juggalos and does a bunch of drugs and has a lot of fun. It's great. You'll love it. Link in the description below. With all that said, let's go ahead and move on to our number one. Can you guess what it is? And my number one nice thing to say about AEW, they are a true financial alternative. Notice the word financial, as they're not necessarily competing in the ratings, at least right now. Good things. We're saying good things. But they are a true financial alternative. In fact, they have more money to spend than WWE does. And they have proven that they will spend that money. That's how they got Mercedes Moné. WWE did not want to pay her what she wanted to get paid. AEW would. So in a sense, AEW was willing to pay more for great talent. And Tony Khan has continued to say that he will continue to throw around big money for big contracts as they come available. Problem is, if nobody really wants to go there anymore, nice things. Tony's got the money to back it up, which creates a real nice living for a lot of wrestlers. This was no more true than when AEW was first starting and signing up people. WWE got a little bit nervous. Once AEW got that TV deal especially, WWE started handing out multi-million-dollar contracts to keep its top talent. Long ones, too. And now maybe they regret that a little bit, but it raised the stakes. AEW has been a benefit for the boys, right? The boys' pockets are fatter because of AEW, period. No matter where they work, whether it's at AEW or WWE. And as long as they continue to exist as close to that top level as they can get, nice things, they will be able to continue to influx that kind of money into the business, which is going to keep the contracts competitive, which is going to keep top talent happy, and which is going to keep everybody competing with each other, at least on that level. Drew McIntyre can go, hey, you know, AEW is offering a pretty fat contract. If, say he throws a number out to WWE, right, and they're like, yeah, you know, we want to keep you, but we're not quite there. He's like, well, Tony Khan's there. I mean, money's money, right? Spends the same, whether the ratings are higher or not. And a lot of people think that way. Mercedes money. certainly thinks that way, right? It's in her fucking name. It's Monet, not Monet. So it's definitely an alternative that's there. How long can that last? How long will that hold up if AEW does not continue to raise their ratings or get back in the hunt? Like, I'll tell you right now, a Drew McIntyre, a Becky Lynch, a Seth Rollins, all three of them whose contracts were up this year and could have possibly been scooped up by AEW, there was no chance. It was not going to happen because none of them considered even going there. It wasn't even an option to them. But if, look, a hot angle can turn everything around. A new booker can turn everything around. Give it a year, give it a two, or maybe WWE start. People are already complaining that WWE's boring-ish now that the Bloodline angle has kind of reached its peak. Roman's gone, Rock's gone. People are pissing on Cody already a little bit. Times can change. As long as AEW is in the game, they're always in the game. If that makes sense, as long as they don't fold up shop and quit, and they continue to keep that national TV, and they continue to spend the big dollars on the big contracts, things can turn around. And it can continue to be a competitive business, which is healthy for the business and healthy for the wrestlers, and it's a great thing. If AEW dies, AEW goes away like a lot of you people want. You think WWE is going to continue to be at this level that they are? They're not. They're just not. Interest will die down. It always does. I've been around long enough to see the lulls, see the peaks, see the lulls. It happens. It's cyclical. Time will come around where WWE sucks again, where it's boring again, and where wrestlers, if they're not employed to WWE, you get cut. Jinder Mahal, sorry, we don't want you. Well, Jinder Mahal is sitting on the couch if it's not for a hot wrestling business, which includes AEW, where he has an opportunity to go work there. If not, there's a booming indie scene because there's two main companies up on national TV to try to get to. It's all interconnected. AEW's mere existence at the level that it's at is the best thing for the wrestling business. That's my 8 things. Was supposed to be 10, but goddamn, I tried. I really tried. 8 was hard enough to get to. I'm sorry. I know it's supposed to be nice, but man, you come up with 10 great things. And not repeating yourself. I can't sit here and say, they got the best wrestling, and then go, and Kenny Omega's the best wrestler. Well, you can't do that. You can't just name, I like this wrestler, this wrestler, this wrestler. What do you like about the company? Come up with 10 things. It's hard. That's my 8. I would love to hear your 8 or 10 or whatever you could come up with down in those comments below. Peace, love, and pizza. I am your boy, Seth Grimes. Check out the Pro Wrestling Podcast. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next